Hello and welcome to the Andrei Kirilenko episode of the Hoop Theory podcast, aka episode 47. My name is Logan Wertman, and today, as usual, I'm joined by my illustrious co-host, Jacob Roth. Jacob, how's it going?
Doing good. Multi-syllable words on the adjectives today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, usually I just say my good friend, but I feel like it's a
illustrious.
Mixing it up. To start off this episode, by the way, what we're going to get into, I'm sure is what the name of the episode is the jersey number draft, all-time jersey number draft. So we'll get to that at the end. We have a little short slate of things to hit on rapid fire here before we get into that. But the first thing I wanted to mention is a tragic situation that I wore this shirt for. Vlatko Čančar is good. He tore his ACL. He's the second. I was really excited to watch him on that Slovenian team because he's like their second option, really, behind Luka. I think him and Luka are the only two NBA guys this year on that team because Goran Dragic isn't playing. And yeah, so I was excited to watch that, but him tearing his ACL, obviously not a good thing. Also was excited to see him soak up some more minutes this upcoming season, maybe fill on that Jeff Green spot now that Jeff Green is off the roster. But sad to say that probably won't happen. But yeah, so just wanted to give my little bit of a shout out or condolences to Vlatko, one of my favorite players, honestly, on the Nuggets. And that also kind of brings up another thing I want to talk about, which was Team USA. I feel like at this time of the year, this is the main thing this podcast should be covering is the Team USA stuff. And we actually played against Slovenia in the last exhibition, the showcase or whatever you want to call it, in Spain. I was able to watch the second half of that game and then watch the highlights of the whole game afterwards. And that one looked okay. Like Slovenia was it seemed like they were very scared about or freaked out about the Vlatko situation. So they barely played Luka at all. I don't even think he played a minute in the second half.
Oh, wow.
So it was just kind of it didn't turn out to be as competitive as a game as you would have liked, but it was still pretty good. And I think we looked okay in that game. Puerto Rico, we looked better in the second half. I know everybody was freaking out saying that we looked bad against Puerto Rico. In the first half, I think because they actually played, it was like a somewhat of a game. We were only up by 10 or something like that at half, but we ended up winning by 33, I think. And we scored 117 points which the USA or FIBA rules or whatever, the total time of regulation is 40 minutes instead of 48 because it's 10-minute quarters. So we put up 117 in 40 minutes, which I think is 141 if you extrapolate that out to 48 minutes. So 141 points. That pace is pretty ridiculous. And honestly, I have a little bit, I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but it's a take at least. After watching these two showcases, or at least segments of them, I feel like Tyrese Haliburton should be the starting point guard, to be honest.
This is we've talked about this a little bit before. Not sure if that episode came out yet. Anyway, we've talked about
it.
It did. The FIBA World Cup before, and how this team is going to be exciting to watch. And it just got that much better because you're wait, is Tyrese Haliburton that insane?
Yeah.
Because he's good. I'm not obviously he's good, but is he that level of him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've mentioned this on the show before about how I think we were talking about what our biggest surprises of the year were towards the end of the regular season is when we talked about this. One of the things I brought up was, you know what it was? It was the awards show for most improved player.
Yep.
And I had to mention Tyrese Haliburton in my top 3 guys because I was just the sheer fact of before this season started, that statement that came out from Kevin Pritchard, or maybe the owner of the Pacers, who I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he said something about how Tyrese Haliburton was going to be their new Reggie Miller. Like, and what he meant by that was he was going to be like their new star, their new cornerstone. Yeah. And I, at the time, in the like just last summer before last season started, I was like, that is ridiculous. I thought that was like a bit of like, are you sure about that? Because I thought at that point, I thought Tyrese Haliburton was going to be good, but like
not that level of like put him in the same category as Reggie Miller.
Yeah, I thought he would be like the third best player on a championship team. Like that's kind of like
not the guy. Yeah,
like he'd be a really solid, above average starter. That type of thing. And
like
then
get an all-star or 2 appearance, but not every single year. Like a very a Tobias Harris, if you will.
Yeah, that kind of thing. So like a mix between a role player who's kind of turns into a star in some spots, like that kind of thing. But yeah, he just went straight to like the focal point of a team, like right away in that first season with the Pacers. And honestly, I said this to my brother the other day, but I honestly believe this. Like if someone were to tell me that Jokic isn't the best passer on the planet, there are 3 people. Yeah, I think there are only three
that
people
you would entertain the argument for.
That I would say you're not crazy, or like I don't hate that pick for choosing that person. Tyrese Haliburton is one of them. Luka Doncic is the other one, and I'd say LeBron is the third. So, but yeah, that just putting Tyrese Haliburton in that elite of a category is just
even
insane.
if it's just passing. Let's say that he does everything else at the middle of the road level. He's in the same conversation as 2 of the greatest passers in NBA history.
Yeah.
And then Luka's like there if he wasn't a black hole. It's on that trajectory. Like,
yeah.
Whoa.
So it's pretty incredible. And Haliburton also, like, he was in the draft, like compared a lot to the Ball brothers. But even at the time, it was like, he's like if a Ball brother was super fundamental and like restrained, like
a Ball brother that got raised in a different house.
Yeah. Like much more of like a straightforward, like, play your role type of guy. And I think that's stayed true for the most part, but he's even better like of a player, I feel like so far than either of the Ball brothers. And
when he like plays, he stays on the court.
Yeah.
Better than they have
for the most part. Yeah.
Better than they have thus far.
He missed like the last half of this past season, but I think a lot of that also had to do with Pacers wanting like to tank and keep him out.
And that was my point. I think there's going to be a lot of guys where it's like 10 years ago, but when the atmosphere of the league was different, those guys probably would have came back. Like you're like a team and you're not really, the tanking thing was like kind of new. People really like have always done it, but not to the extent of where it's like, we're pretty open about it now. You're not going to do like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, like just not really like playing every other game, even though they're not going to make the playoffs at all. They're not resting him for anything. They just don't want to win. The Thunder I'm talking about. Obviously, I jumped the ship to the Thunder, but like
a couple years ago.
Theme. Yeah, 2 years ago. Well, even a little bit last year. They made the playoffs last year, but my fantasy basketball team got screwed by that. Anyway. But it's exciting, like this whole Team USA thing and Haliburton, and it's just an interesting dynamic, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. I think he has like the passing, to borrow a J. Kyle Mann term, passing vocabulary or like passing creativity that LaMelo Ball has, but he's more of a functional passer than Ball. Like I feel like LaMelo is, for more or less, like a lot of the appeal of his passing is like the flashiness and the creativity. Like Tyrese Haliburton has that in spades, but he's like such a functional passer that like he makes the right pass. He makes like the correct, like it doesn't matter if it's flashy all the time. It's just the right play. Like that's one reason of
he's
why
not allergic to a bounce pass. If it's what's needed, he will do it. And instead of this crazy, like fling it around the side, put some spin on it.
Yeah,
because you can.
Some of my favorite Haliburton passes are just like the quick, like he lobs it over the whole defense to the guy in the corner when he's up at the top of the wing.
Yeah,
and like to most people seeing that, it's like, okay, it's a look pretty straightforward pass.
But go do it.
Yeah, like that's just a pass that not a lot of people make, and he does it like so casually. And that's another thing with like Jokic, how I feel like a lot of people, the people who don't think of Jokic as the best passer in the league, I feel like those are the type of people that just look at flashiness, and that's what they equate skill of passing to. It's like Jokic he can be flashy. He gets some really crazy passes out there, but most plays Jokic makes are just like the most basic way you could deliver the ball like to that person.
But sees the window and hits it, doesn't hesitate, just does it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's like the IQ side of passing as opposed to the physical ability. Like there's obviously both sides to it, but there's two like categories of passers, and the IQ side of passing is something that's a lot harder to just like teach people to do.
Exactly.
You don't get time to think about it. You just have to see the window, visualize it, and send it. And I think LeBron does a really good job of that. So another side LeBron's on is the IQ part of passing as opposed to the like, look at this
always
crazy
like
because there's that clip that'll probably be played until we die of LeBron throwing it through
Tristan Thompson's
legs. Yeah, like that'll be played.
I don't even think that was on purpose, to be honest.
No, it couldn't have been. Like there's no anyway, let's just give him the benefit of the doubt and say it is. There's a lot more of like just like that's crazy and that's cool to see, but the fundamental side of LeBron's passing is what makes him like so and the fact that he's like a 6'9" bowling ball that's good at everything else too. But
a passer that's all the way up in the flashiness category and net like kind of lacking in like the functional category is Jason Williams, white chocolate. Like I love that guy. I love watching his like just compilation videos. Not saying he's a bad passer by any means. I still think he's one of the best passers to ever live.
Different type of good passer.
Yeah, it's not always like the game-winning type of plays necessarily, as much as it's like the, oh my gosh, he just did that type of thing.
And also imagine being teammates with those types of guys. Just like how like hyper aware at all times you have to be.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, I'm behind him and the defender's in the way. There's no way I'm getting the ball. Just kidding. It's coming off the elbow.
Yeah, man, that would have been the best play. Probably that would be his like number one. It might be already, but that would be by far his number one highlight if Rafe LaFrentz finished that shot. If he didn't
aggressively,
yeah, because he got fouled and missed the shot, but so it wasn't an assist technically.
If that would have been like a thunderous and one. Like think how like
that would have been great. But anyways, so yeah, Team USA, they're playing. I think they have
also,
a few
if
more.
Kristaps plays and hurts his foot, I'm going.
Is he playing for Latvia?
It's still in the air. I don't know yet.
Are they not at the showcase in Spain? Latvia? They must not be there.
I don't think so.
Not all the teams are.
I've been trying to not look because I'm just like, no. I almost tweeted it because for those that remember the corner of shame, I'm bringing it back.
Oh, yeah. This was another thing I wanted to bring up on this episode that I didn't write down. I don't remember what it was, but I saw something on your Twitter that I wanted to mention. So you go ahead.
What was my corner of shame tweet? Well, because I was going to put the entire country of Latvia in the corner. Richard Francis Berry III is why I tweeted the corner of shame out recently.
Oh, Rick Barry. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. I Googled his full name for the emphasis. But OGs will remember the corner of shame. It's got James Dolan in it.
James Dolan,
owner of the New York Knicks. The entire franchise of the Detroit Lions, because they robbed us of not one, not two, but potentially 3 Hall of Fame careers, depending on how you feel about Matt Stafford. Calvin Johnson, then Barry Sanders is a third. Then that one writer, Joe Cowley in Chicago for making it so who was job wasn't unanimous
and also he did some crazy stuff. He put like Andre Drummond
Zach LaVine.
Yeah, I don't remember what he did for Zach
All
LaVine.
NBA or something like that.
Maybe.
He's a Chicago writer guy.
He put Andre Drummond as Defensive Player of the Year, and that's not even when he was. That's when he was on the Pistons, I think. Still, like that was his last year at the Pistons.
Anyway, there's a couple of other people in the
Bill
corner of shame.
O'Brien, I think was
Bill O'Brien. He's out of the corner of shame. He's one of the few people that's ever fought his way out. It's Bill O'Brien, GM Bill O'Brien. If there's different iterations of Bill O'Brien, like jersey numbers, like we'll talk about in a little bit, that would have been a crazy segue. This is the GM version of Bill O'Brien, not the offensive coordinator version of Bill
Oh, okay.
And I kind of hung up the corner of shame, didn't talk about it for very long. But if Kristaps Porzingis gets hurt, I'm not going to put the entire country of Latvia, but at least FIBA Latvia into the corner of shame.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it's a bit aggressive to put the entire country there.
Yeah,
Latvia,
the basketball.
The what does FIBA even stand for? Basketball.
What does FIFA stand for? I think it's the same thing, just football instead of or basketball.
Is it International Basketball Association? What's the F?
Probably.
Federation of International. Maybe it's not even international.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know that FIBA.
The International Basketball Federation, and it's FIBA. Oh, because in French it's Fédération Internationale.
I was going to say the FIB is Fédération Española Basketball or something like that. So it's like the Federation of Spanish Basketball.
But yeah, so it's International Federation of Basketball, Latvia, corner of shame. But so what Logan saw, the tweet I tweeted, was Rick Barry was on the Big Three, like that basketball 3-on-3, I think is what it is. Yeah. Has like a
Ice
podcast.
Cube.
Yeah, Ice Cube's basketball league, which is super fun to watch, by the way. It's not like basketball purist basketball to watch, but it's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
But he was, and do I think Jaylen Brown is being overpaid? You're darn right. He's getting a lot of money, similar to someone else that we're going to talk about a little bit, Anthony Davis. But he's getting a lot of money, and Rick Barry's like, that's too much money to give a guy that averages 18 and a half. 1. And I even gave him the benefit of the doubt and didn't go like the past 4 years when we've seen the true iteration of Jaylen Brown as we see him now. I just dropped off his first rookie year where he played 12 minutes a game and only had 5 points per game. And was like 2 parts of why I put him in the corner of shame. I'll just read my tweet. If you don't count the rookie year, which he played 12 minutes, that already bumps his points per game up to just shy of 20.75. But then also, basketball is more than points per game because early Jaylen Brown, his whole thing was like on-ball defense before he turned into the player that he is now.
Mm-hmm.
So, and his plus-minus in the playoffs, plus 115.
Total
plus 115 if you take all the playoffs. I should have probably done average, but I didn't have the characters and I didn't want to do the math.
I also don't know if that's probably good, but also it's like not that doesn't sound like. But that's not also surprising at all to me because he's on the Celtics. They win most times in the playoffs.
No, and that's fair. But then if you get rid of, but the thing is outside of the one weird year where we were the 7th seed and got absolutely nuked by the Nets.
Mm-hmm.
He was over plus 40. That Nets year dropped it by 70. He was plus over 40 every single year.
Oh, wow.
So anyway, I just was irritated that I'm out of all the people to be points per game was a NBA player, a former NBA player, Hall of Famer, Rick Barry, Richard Francis Barry III.
But he's also from an era where that was an advanced stat. Was your points per game average, that long ago, that's the stats that people had was let's average the numbers that they score per game and look at that.
Okay. Moving past that though, he's obviously just never watched Jaylen Brown play basketball because you think it's Jaylen Brown scoring is the only reason he got that money. You're delusional. It's part of it. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's the main part of it, to be honest.
But, okay, even if it's let's call it 70% of it, 60% of it. Is that fair?
I would say 70.
Okay, 70% of it, whatever, is his ability exclusively to score. And we've already talked about his problems as an off-ball defender because he gets tunnel vision.
And he's not that great on ball anymore either. Because
he puts so much focus.
But... And
I also push back on that a little bit because in games where he's not scoring, he just can't do both. He can't some guys can turn it on and then go both sides really well. But if he's having an offensive night, it's just an offensive night. But if he's having a defensive night, it's still very reminiscent of the lockdown one guy when he has the ball. Don't ask for help defense from him. because it doesn't come all that often. He's like focused on his guy.
Yeah, and he ball watches when he's off ball, and so guys will backdoor cut him. Like he gets lost a lot is what happens off ball.
Well, and that's another reason why he just fits really well with what the Celtics do defensively, having a guy that just constantly is like not really watching the ball at all. And it's going to turn into KP and Robert Williams III, like taking turns doing it, I think. But they just kind of just hover around the paint and look at everyone that barely has the ball, glance at the ball, then they just look for that type of stuff. Like that's just like all they do. And then someone comes and helps. And there's great breakdowns. I think it's Thinking Basketball has an elite video on how the Celtics defense works and like shows clips of different times and quality stuff. But anyway, I just was fired up about what a weird angle to run at it from.
Yeah, I didn't hate, honestly, that video, but I also think I entered it like knowing it's Rick Barry. Because like if you know anything about Rick Barry, he's like the most hated like person in basketball ever.
Oh,
like he's a
Christian Laettner.
No, like fans hate Christian Laettner because of like
the Duke thing. Yeah,
people like basketball players.
Don't like Rick Barry.
His peers hated Rick Barry because he's like a massive a-hole. Like he is just a jerk about literally everything. And so like that's like his persona in just like in the media or in the public space. And so it's just like I was anticipating him to say some wild things, like some like really mean, like crazy things. And it didn't come across like it was all that like, you know, hateful or like,
yeah.
So
I guess also, if you're looking for an entertaining, my Twitter's not that entertaining, but the tweet before that one, it was someone said, what is the first thing that comes to mind when you see this player? It's a picture of John Wall. And I just put Troop 41. I don't know why, but that was the first thing that popped into my head. So, Jacob _Roth 7. I tweet about the Celtics, Nebraska football.
Yeah.
And anything else that kind of pops up on my timeline.
Yeah, sometimes
mostly
other things.
Celtics and Husker football.
Yeah. Yeah, those are the reoccurring trends. Yeah, so that concludes that. I think we're done talking about Team USA, done talking about the corner of shame.
We could move on to big money.
Yeah, two more things to talk. The first thing before we get to the big money thing is something we can just gloss over a little bit. But that episode you were mentioning earlier of us talking about the Team USA roster.
Oh, that was a bonanza.
Yeah. I ended up keeping a lot of it in there just because it was just kind of like, I don't know, without
it's off season.
Yeah, without it, there's not much there at all. And with it, it's just kind of like bonus content in a way. But like that's what I named the last third of the episode was bonus content. But anyway, so the one argument that we were having, I had a thought listening back to it of like a point that I made that I was like, I could have like, there's this way better version of that point that I just didn't make. And I'm like, I just want to say it. And so that was the continent argument that we were having.
Oh, and I forgot.
So the thing I said was, so does that mean Cuba isn't in North America? But like the way better version of that is, would you consider Japan Asian?
Yeah.
Is Japan in Asia?
Yeah.
So then why do you think that so Japan is a part of the continent of Asia?
Yeah.
Do you not remember what your stance was?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
But like there's a difference between like Japan, you can like throw a rock and get it to Asia. Dramatic. I understand. You can't actually, unless you're like a robot, throw a rock from Japan to mainland Asia. So why isn't
New Zealand in the continent of Australia, if you want to call it Australia? Why isn't New Zealand a part of that continent?
I don't know. Just didn't think it was. The more and more I think, I don't know.
Yeah. I think
I thought it was dumb.
That it's called Oceania. That some people call it that.
That I don't think that part's dumb. That the continent that has all like Indonesia and all of those little island things is the same continent as Australia. I don't remember feeling that New Zealand and Australia were like
We're like what?
Those are grouped in my brain.
Yeah, because of culture, because they're westernized. Like a lot of the other places are like Polynesian and like
They're just like right next to each other.
Not really. They're not very like New Zealand
on a map. I know maps skew things. On a map, they look right next to each other.
Yeah, I mean, for relative to the whole globe, they're in the same quadrant. You know,
they're in the same quarter of the globe. Yes.
Yeah,
they're closer than that. I thought.
Yeah, yeah. I guess I was using quadrant very like not even like what's that called? Denotatively, I was using it more like just like area.
They're in the same zone.
Zone, like like general little area, but like Polynesian island, like there's islands between New Zealand and Australia, like New Caledonia, and like Solomon Islands are somewhere in there. I'm getting some of these wrong, but that's all in that similar area. And I think Indonesia might not count as
Oceania.
Oceania. I think it might count as Asia still. The border is somewhere in there between like either Malaysia or Indonesia or something like that. I think Papua New Guinea, though, for sure is considered part of Oceania or Australia, whatever you want to call this continent. But yeah, that's the point that I just wanted to make, was that you were saying that like where we got hung up, like, because I agree, like with your perspective, just entering it from your perspective, it's like
you're saying look at an actual globe, way different vibe than what maps show you.
Yeah.
Because it kind of looks like it's a Japan and Asia situation in proximity, you know? Really isn't.
I knew that it wasn't, but that might just be because I knew that. Like,
there's an aggressive gap between Hobart, Tasmania, and Winton, New Zealand.
Yeah, the South Island.
Yeah, Wellington. Well, and isn't it? Don't they have like two? No, Wellington's on the North Island with Auckland. Christchurch
is on the south
of South Island. But then I also didn't realize that like Australia is like one big country, but then like each one has its like capital, I guess.
Well, because it has different provinces.
But they call their things fancy. It just seemed fancy.
Call their what things fancy?
But like Canberra, I think, is Australia's capital.
Yeah. They have like a federal. It's kind of like Washington D.C. They have a federal district of
Australian Capital Territory.
Yeah, it's very small, pretty sure.
Yeah, it's compared to DC. I don't know. Actually,
very small compared to all the other provinces in Australia.
Oh yeah, super small. It's like a little dot. It's like you could probably fit, if I'm eyeballing it, you could fit like 12 ACTs inside of Tasmania.
ACT.
Anyway. The Australian Capital Territory. Get with the lingo, my guy.
Okay. Yeah.
It's inside of New South Wales, just north of Victoria.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's a big gap between New Zealand and Australia. I've heard before that it's like the same distance from Australia to New Zealand as it is from New Zealand to Antarctica.
I think that might be wrong, looking at Google Earth, but it might be right.
If you look at the very tip of New Zealand to the very tip of that like weird peninsula that comes off of Antarctica, I think is thing.
But I'm more saying that like, because the New Zealand tip leans towards Australia already. If it leaned the other way, then maybe like
I think it's close at least.
Maybe it's like a city to a city, and then like New Zealand. I don't know.
Yeah. But anyways, the thing I was saying was, like this is something we got into an argument about, but I understand what you were saying was just that the way you were thinking of continent is like the physical feature, like the geographic feature of a continent, which is like just a big land mass, you know?
Yeah.
And so an island doesn't count as part of that. But like the general names of the continents that we have, you know, like the
Australia, Asia,
6,
Europe,
5,
Africa.
7. Yeah. North America,
6?
South America, Antarctica, Australia, Africa, Europe, and Asia. That's 7. Yeah.
7.
But like with those, when we're talking about like Asia, you know, there's Asian countries that aren't on the continental feature of Asia. So that's where that's where our wires were crossed. But anywho,
Anthony Davis got paid.
Yeah. The other thing we wanted to touch on was Anthony Davis getting that contract, max extension. It wasn't a full year, multiple, wasn't the full amount of years that he could get, I don't think.
Because he could get 5 and he got 3, I think.
Yeah.
And it was 181 million.
So it's like the same type of thing as Jaylen Brown's contract, but it ends sooner. So he doesn't get to that $69 million a year range. He just gets up to, he has a player option in 2028 for $63 million.
So it's 4-year with the player, 3-year with the 4th player option year.
It's a 2-year guaranteed, and the
on
third
top
year
of his other contract.
Okay. Yeah. Because this next season,
that's my brain broke. Yeah, yep. I'm tracking.
Actually, yeah, he has 2 years left on. So he has 24 and 25 left on this current deal. This
and then the
next deal starts in 26, 27,
28 is when you have the player option. Okay.
Yeah.
But
where he'll be 34 years old, by the way.
Yeah. At the best version of Anthony Davis, arguably a steal for the Lakers. At the worst version of Anthony Davis, super not a steal.
Yeah.
Crippling, and I feel like once they get into the player option in 2028, a 34-year-old Anthony Davis might be closer to the latter of our two situations, and it might be cumbersome for the Los Angeles Lakers franchise.
Yeah.
But no, this is a steal if you're getting like manimal playoff, I'm angry Anthony Davis.
What he looked like last year in the playoffs and what he looked like in 2020 in the playoffs.
Yeah, like if you get that Anthony Davis.
All the Pelicans years.
Yeah, you do this 10 out of 10 times. Maybe 11 out of 10 times.
Mm-hmm.
But there's the downside of Anthony Davis that we saw in 2021, which was like him on the court, great. Injury, fighting, not so great. Like there was like a whole 3-month thing where everybody was calling him street clothes because Charles Barkley did it.
Yeah. And so, just the past several seasons, ever since his last year in New Orleans, really, he's missed like a plethora of games every year. I think 2020 has been by far his most healthy season that he had in that stretch, but that still wasn't like, groundbreaking, the amount of games that he played. But like the thing is for me, like it's very likely that he probably will play. Like, what's the likelihood that he plays more games from age 30 to 34 than he did from 27 to 30?
47%.
You think it's that high?
I just threw a random number out there.
I feel like it's like a third. Like it's way less likely. It's not a coin flip.
Yeah, there's no way unless they like alter what like how he like when he does play in games, they like baby him and like, okay, we need you to play like a big boy today. You're going full bore, but you're only going to play 20 minutes a game the rest of you know what I mean? Like if they load manage him while he still plays, that's the only world I realistically see him like playing a ton more, or he gets like a new trainer and gets some stuff figured out.
Yeah.
Or like maybe he has like a big injury. Don't want that to happen. I do not, in my heart of hearts, want Anthony Davis to have a big injury. But if he does and it lets the rest of his body kind of like fix itself while that big injury is getting fixed, that and like if he's able to bounce back after that, like there's just like a lot of like coin flip type of chances, but I just don't see any of them probably happening. Like let's say he just does something weird to like his forearm, like he breaks his arm and it messes with his shooting, so they just hold him out a year. Lets the rest of his body kind of get back to how it was, because I think he's been playing through stuff, even though people say he doesn't. Yeah,
he's just much more injury prone, I guess. Like his body just, I don't know what it is exactly, but
maybe it's the fact that he grew like 2 foot in 6 months.
That could be it, honestly. Something to do with that.
Now, also, all the people out there, I know that's not actually how much bigger he got, but it was close to
isn't it? Yeah, it's an exaggeration.
But wasn't it like... Wasn't it 8 inches in a year or a foot in a year? It was something crazy like that. It was something
close to a foot because he went from like...
a point guard.
I think he wasn't even 6 foot, and he went from 6 foot to like 6'9", 6'10", whatever he is now, in a very short amount of time. Within like 2 years max, something like that.
Sophomore year, he was 6'2".
6'2". Okay, so he was a little bit taller than I thought.
He grew 8 inches in 2 years, which is...
still
quite wild.
Yeah, especially when you're those 8 inches are getting you to 6'10".
Stretching far beyond what the normal human body is like.
Yeah.
Gravity's working more on. Anyway, it'll be interesting. I think that it is worth it if he is healthy. If he's not healthy, it is going to become a problem.
I think it's kind of similar to the Jaylen Brown situation where it's like,
there's a world where it's worth it.
What else could the Lakers have done? Like what else should they have done? Like what's a better alternative to this situation?
Yeah. Also, I'm going to walk back. There's no world where the Jaylen Brown thing ends up worth it, I don't think. Realistically, I just don't like, unless he learns how to dribble or mentally learns to not dribble and like turn into like a Klay Thompson.
That's something I agreed with you also on. Like he has to dribble because
I say that as in I'm going to tunnel. Maybe he just needs to fix his tunnel vision and then he'll just become the next step up of an NBA player. Because he gets this tunnel vision where he just like, I'm not going to pass it out unless Marcus Smart screams, pass it.
Yeah.
Like, and he like, but he sees like a little window and he's like, I'm going for it. And then the second the window closes, instead of passing it out, he keeps going. Yeah. Not that can't dribble with his left hand, not that can't, like, nothing with the dribbling itself, but like the times he chooses to dribble is what I most commonly have a qualm with.
And his way, like how he gets in, because usually how he uses his dribble is when he gets set up in the offense, he gets to his spot, gets the ball, then he'll take his man off the dribble to create his shot. But when he's doing that, he often uses the same technique or like the same motions to get into shots. Like he's very predictable. And like, especially when a guy like Jimmy Butler is defending you, like it just turned into, if I just stick my hand in here every time, like 30 or 40% of the time, the ball's just going to fall out and I'm just going to go get it. You know what I mean? Like that's what was happening. Because he couldn't correct, like he's just so stringent on how, the motion that he makes while he's dribbling, he doesn't have a lot of wiggle room. And he's just not very sound with his dribble.
He like telegraphs what he's going to do and then commits, because the way he does it, you can't really backpedal. It just is.
Yeah.
His chest is like 3 inches from the ground when he starts driving forward. He like and I love Jaylen Brown as a player, and because I've like, even before when I thought they were going to trade him for Kevin Durant, was like, I'm going to just become a fan of Jaylen Brown's team, and the Celtics will become the side background. That was a bit dramatic, but I was like, don't trade, please, no. I don't want that, because the last time I got a mega superstar, it was Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
Still not happy.
Well, Tatum is above that now.
Oh, sure. He is. And also, the only way that he doesn't die a Celtic, there's two ways, I think, is someone does him very dirty in the front office, which I don't foresee happening if it's Brad Stevens. Or 2, the St. Louis gets an NBA expansion team, and he will be like, when is my contract done? I'm going to retire in St. Like,
what if the Celtics get really bad for a while, and like
with how good I think he will be, I don't think they'll be bad enough.
Like like everything around him is bad. The
structure. Okay. In a hypothetical world, that could happen, but with what we've seen Brad Stevens doing as a GM, I don't think that will happen. Yeah. Like, I think we could be through 2 coaches rotation. Like, let's say Joe Mazzulla doesn't work. By Joe Mazzulla, we're on to, I don't know. We'll just pick a random person. Yeah. That doesn't work. Another coach.
Stan Van Gundy.
Let's bring in the Van Gundy. No, I don't want the Van Gundys.
But anyways, as you're saying, what will end up
I just don't think that there's a world where Brad Stevens builds a bad enough team around him that he can't even get into the playoffs.
The only way that it would happen is that like every single bet he makes fails.
And has already made.
Yeah, basically. Because being a GM is basically making bets. Like, it's just whether those bets pay on the bets or not. Like, so there's worlds where bets that GMs make, like, there's a world where that would have been a good move. It's just it didn't turn out that way, and we live in the world where that wasn't a good move.
There's a weird world where the Nets win a championship, and all those picks they gave up are like, we got a title.
Maybe that one I feel
it's
like
a weird world.
Most of those worlds are bad for the Nets, but yeah. Anyways, I think that's probably good on the Anthony Davis contract.
That was a nice little appetizer for the people of like an hour.
Yeah. So we'll try to make this second half about, I don't know, try to wrap this up in like an hour and a half of total recording time. So we're entering the jersey number draft now. It will be yours truly versus Jacob for drafting five players each, not players, but jersey numbers each. And that will get us, basically, we acquire every single season of a person wearing that jersey number.
So that's how we solved the problem of, like, Shaq has had, like, 4 numbers. LeBron's obviously had the 6 and the 23. Kobe had 8 and 24.
Yeah.
There's all these guys that have worn multiple. You pick, I guess, and then the second half of the draft that you can explain, Logan, because it was more your idea, but we'll have a season of a guy wearing the jersey number that we have.
Yeah. So we have those players to choose from for building an 8-man rotation to kind of face off against each other, theoretically. And that will be how we do this, how we settle this, of who won the jersey number draft. So also, when we pick the seasons of the players, so like if my pick is like 2013 LeBron James or something like that, that means that I can't pick another LeBron James jersey number 6 at least, because 2013 you wore 6, like to put on my team. Like I'm done picking LeBron James number 6. If I also have the number 23, then I can do, LeBron James 2009 or like, something like that, if that makes sense. So, and without further ado, I guess we can flip a coin on who. I want to do one physically so like the screen can actually see it. Do you have a coin in person?
I have a Budweiser cap.
You want to flip that?
No, we can flip a proper coin.
Okay, I'll just do a virtual one. Flip a coin. You want to call it?
I'll go with the tails.
It is heads.
All you then, gamer.
Man, I kind of wanted the second pick, honestly, because we're going to snake this thing. We're going to do a snake draft. So second and third pick will be to the same person. But, okay, so with the first pick in the jersey number draft, I think this is a tough decision. Jacob doesn't think so, but I think it is, because we're trying to build an 8-man rotation. Having the 2 best players of all time is a very valuable thing to have, in that race, in that. What are you squinting about?
Nothing. That's crazy, bro.
You don't think that 23 is a valid number 1 pick?
I've got it as number 6.
Wow. Are you kidding me? How is it?
No.
It has the 2 best players to ever play basketball. And then a good amount of like other, like Anthony Davis in his prime.
Yeah, okay. Yep. Okay, yeah.
But I'm just saying, if we're building a team of 8 people.
I don't want to give away mine because I don't know what the rest of your list looks like. But, like, I just thought, like...
33 and 34 have so many...
I also went...
Players of the same position.
Hall of Famers?
Players of the same position.
I made my list based on the numbers and less on our, like, building a team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, my list is more jersey numbers first.
Yeah.
8-man rotation second.
I understand that. But I'm saying from the strategic point of trying to build an 8-man rotation, 23
it makes
is
more
like
sense.
A super valid. I feel like...
Yeah, for sure.
That would hurt a lot if I just handed you 23 and one of those other 30s. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I feel like getting the combination of that is so deadly because you get all those centers and then those 2 guys. So I'm going to take jersey number 23 with my first pick in this draft. So obviously that gets me Michael Jordan for his whole career, basically. It gets me LeBron James for different segments of his career. Prime Anthony Davis. Honestly, I don't know if there's anybody else that just kind of made that pick up based off the top 2, but
Yeah. So then this is another thing. I did not Google. What I did is I took in a notebook. People can't see it, doesn't matter. And I went numbers 1 through. I didn't get to 99. I didn't go that far. I kept going, and I just wrote down the names that popped into my brain for each number.
Yeah.
And then I ranked those, and then went from there. But then before we started recording, I said I'm gonna look at my numbers and find other people with my numbers that I already had established as my top 10. And it didn't really change the order of many of my numbers, but a lot of them actually I only know the number because of the podcast. I know them as a player, but I didn't know that. I didn't know. So yeah, my first pick. Should I do them as a combo? Because the two numbers that I'm going to pick as the second and third overall picks in our draft, my first and second overall pick, the second and third overall, is a matchup that will stand the test of time when it comes to basketball people. Magic Bird. So I'll take 33 with pick number 2 and 32 with pick number 3.
I like this because it gives me a pick that I thought was going to be gone. It gives me a number that I thought would be gone.
Yeah, well, I also thought about, and it might be the number that you take, but there's going to be a recurring trend when I read off my list of names. Let me know if you find it with these first two. So for 33, I get Bird, Kareem.
Yep.
Scottie Pippen. Patrick Ewing.
Mm-hmm.
Grant Hill. Alonzo Mourning.
Yep.
For a long time, until probably 2 years ago, I thought was Clay's dad, but it's not. David Thompson, not Michael Thompson.
Yeah, not Michael Thompson.
And then I get a year of Shaq, but that doesn't really count.
Danny Granger, I think, is jersey number 23 or 33.
Yeah. And Miles Turner, because my list was just me thinking from my brain.
Yeah.
But I feel pretty good about that 33.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just see. Now here's where the trend might kick in. For 32, the first name I wrote down, Kevin McHale, Magic Johnson. Not because of the order that they're good, but it's the order they popped into my brain.
In your head, yeah.
Malone, Shaq, Bill Walton, Cat, Jason Kidd, Rip Hamilton, and OG Blake Griffin.
I kind of didn't even think of Jason Kidd, honestly. That is
5 is his big I don't.
That gets you a point guard. I thought 32 wouldn't get you anything in the guard rotation. Well, okay, yeah, Magic is Magic, but
yeah, okay, that's fair. But yeah, I kind of I'll read off all of the names that I have. I guess for my 23, I can read off the numbers.
For your 23? Oh yeah, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, I have MJ, LeBron, AD, and then Jason Richardson. Those are the only 23s I can
Jason Richardson. Yeah.
Yeah, those are the 23s I had written down.
Jimmy Butler on the Wolves.
And the
Sixers. Yeah.
Because I thought I had Jimmy Butler written down. Oh, because I have him written down for a potentially different number that I did a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Allegedly. So right now, how the way things are looking, Logan took 23 with the first overall pick. Mm-hmm. I took 33 with my second overall pick just to give Bird the nod over Magic. And then 32 will be my next one.
Yeah.
So off the board are 23, 33, and 32. Logan, What is your second overall pick?
I'm liking the way this is.
And I think I know where yours. I think you know where you're going.
Because this gets me a dynamic duo of positions. So I don't mind if I don't get another guard, honestly, because I have LeBron and Michael Jordan. I don't need another ball handler. 34 is going to get me a huge swath of big men and whatever else.
I'm bummed, actually, because that was one I almost did 34 instead of 33. I thought about, but I was like, I didn't know how to do it. Because for my 34, I guess, who did you take 34 in your brain, who you're thinking?
In my head, I think of Hakeem. I think of Giannis. I think of Shaq. I think of
Lakers Shaq.
Yeah,
right?
Lakers Shaq.
Okay, I just want to make my brain was right.
Yep. Lakers Shaq. And so and then there's also Ray Allen, Paul Pierce.
Yep, because mine was the first name I wrote down for 34 was Paul Pierce. Hakeem, Shaq. I had Charles Barkley. I don't know if you said him yet.
Oh yeah, I haven't, but I was thinking about him the other day.
And then I put JaVale McGee because he was 34 on a bunch of teams.
Yeah, on the Nuggets. Yeah, that's funny.
But no, 34. That was so. My 1, 2, and 3 are gone, as well as my number 6, because I did it more number only, without the building a team. But that'll be unfortunate to deal with there.
And then I get another pick here.
Yes,
Since
sir.
we're snaking it. And, man, I haven't thought too much about this one. But I think I might go with 21.
Okay. That's a pretty good one.
Yeah. You didn't have it next, though, on your ranks?
I had it
in your ranking?
one after next. I had it at 5.
Well, this is the 5th pick, isn't it?
But I also didn't have 23 that high.
Oh.
Because
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's one more in your top 5 that's on the board, is what you mean?
Wait. My lists are in different orders. So 21 was my 4th overall.
Okay.
In my list over here, it's not, but in my just like numbers, I just have just the numbers in a list, and it's 33, 32, 34, 21. So
yeah, and so that gets me obviously KG and Tim Duncan.
A sneaky lot of other ones.
Jimmy Butler on the Bulls.
Bill Sharman, Celtics legend.
Bill Sharman.
That's literally like how it was. The name was because I know the Celtics retired people. Like I just know most of the numbers. So it was Kevin Garnett because I knew he was 5 and because he couldn't wear 21 because he was 21 in Minnesota, and then Bill Sharman was the other first 2 I had written down. You also get Dominique Wilkins.
Oh yeah, Dominique Wilkins. I was trying to think there was another big guy. Vlade Divac.
The Bulls, Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, I mentioned him.
Oh, you did already say him.
Yeah, and then there's
Dave Bing. Only know his number because of the podcast.
Bing. Yeah. And I think there's maybe Bob McAdoo. No, that's a caveat here that I'm looking at.
There's some guys that wore like 1 year for.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's a pretty good pick there because it gets me that 4 spot, like really switchable defensive players. Honestly, just on the reason I picked it was for KG and Tim Duncan alone gets me a lot. So yeah, happy with that. So how about what is your 6th? Well, it's your 3rd pick, but the 6th overall pick of the draft.
I'm gonna go with. See, now I'm like I think I'm gonna change up my order just to build my team a little bit because I need to like be more conscious of the team building part. I think, you know, because right now I'm looking at pretty much I can't build a better backcourt or front court. Like I've got that pretty much set. It's the guards I'm gonna run into like a little bit of issues. So I think I am gonna change my order. And I'm going to go... I've got a number that I know you won't have, so I won't use that one. I'm going to go with number 3.
Okay.
Because I need to fix my guard problem.
I was thinking about number 3 earlier, but...
Because I've got AI, D-Wade, freshly Hall of Fame member, Celtics legend Dennis Johnson, Stephon Marbury, CP3, and Ben Wallace.
Yeah.
Those are the names. Ben Wallace also were
Bradley
another
Beal,
number.
Anthony Davis also.
Oh, yeah, I did. See? My brain didn't work that well. So 3 is not the number I had next in terms of like all time. Where does this number rank? But it is
strategically it gets you some players
need
you need.
Yeah. And it gives me a lot of guards. So I'll take 3. Sir, as we are cruising along here, what is your 4th overall pick going to be as you got? Or your last 2 picks? What are you taking? I didn't even think of that because you got it back-to-backs.
Did you not...
Oh, I have to do my other one. Oh, wow. Yeah. This makes it way less scary.
Did you want to alternate these last ones, though? Or did you want to keep doing the snake?
I'm good for either. I don't really care.
Let's keep doing the snake since that's what we said we were going to do at the beginning.
I'll take 6.
Okay. That's why I wanted the next pick is because I was going to take 6.
I was going to take 6 before, but I was like, I need guards, and 6 doesn't have guards. But it gives me... arguably the greatest season in NBA history, LeBron.
Yeah.
Bill Russell was the first name I had written down. Dr. J. DeAndre Jordan, and then Kristaps. Couldn't think of a whole lot of 6s. I was really struggling.
Yeah.
But the LeBron thing, I was like, okay. There's great 6 season LeBrons. And then the Dr. J and Bill Russell, I said, I'll take 6. So I've got 33, 32, 3, and 6. Logan, as you go into your last 2 picks, you've got 23, 34, and 21. What is going to be your next 2 picks?
And these are the final 2.
For you, yes. So then I've got
and you
one
have
to
one
wrap
more.
things up. But
Yeah.
I'm rather confident we'll be safe.
Really?
Oh, yeah, there's no way.
I
In terms
wonder
of
why.
all-time prominence.
Just because you want to take it as a meme type of thing? Or
No, it's not a meme. It has nothing to do with the meme, but like, in terms of all-time prominence, I hold this number higher than most, probably.
is it 36?
That'd be funny, though. I should have done that. That would have been a funny meme.
Yeah.
To take 36 just for the Marcus Smart.
Yeah.
Run him as my point guard out of a joke. But anyway.
Okay.
All you.
For me, I am torn between thinking number one. I'm also thinking of, like, I'm thinking number one for, T-Mac, Derrick Rose, Marius Stoudemire, the Big O, Oscar Robertson.
That is an interesting problem, though, good sir.
Why is that?
His good seasons, he did not wear number one.
Oh, what number was he on the Bucks for the championship?
His triple doubles, I thought, were 14.
Yeah, his main prime years were those years, but I think the year that they won the championship on the Bucks, he wore number one, and he was still at least
one
pretty good.
Because that's what he is on the all-time Bucks rosters on 2K.
Yeah, he was number one on the Bucks. No, he was number 14 on the Royals. Yeah,
or Royals. Sorry, yeah.
Mm-hmm. The Cincinnati Royals, which are to now the Sacramento Kings. But Chris Bosh, Chauncey Billups also.
Yeah, gonna keep it a buck. Forgot to put it on my top 10.
Yeah, it's in there somewhere, I think.
Well, we also talked about there's a strong 8.
Yeah, strong top
and
8. Then a little bit of a drop.
A little drop.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Number 2 is the other number I'm thinking of. One of the other ones. There's 3. And because that, has Kawhi Leonard. It's got Moses Malone, Alex English. Those are the main 3 that I have in mind. Mitch Richmond, I think, also. Larry Johnson, Grandmama, Kyrie. So that's a decent one as well. But then the other one, which I can't remember now, what I just was thinking about like 5 minutes ago. The other number that I was thinking of was 15, just for the sake of getting Jokic and Carmelo, and Vince Carter, I guess. Now that I think about it, I think there's maybe one other, Kemba Walker, DeMarcus Cousins. Those are off the top of my head. Al Horford. Now that I'm reading the list, Mark Price. Oh, that's a caveat. Never mind. I was going to say I thought Mark Price was 25. And Tommy Heinsohn. That's the Yahoo.com's jersey champion, but this is a few years ago, several years ago. So I feel like it's now Jokic, but and Earl the Pearl Monroe. So I'm in between those 3. I got to take 2 of them. So that is what's vexing me at the moment. There's also 11, I guess, is pretty good. I feel like.
Yeah, see, this is where you have not said a single number I have on my list because I am rather limited to Celtics numbers I know in terms of like historical prominence.
Oh, so it's not 7 that you're thinking of. I was thinking maybe 7. It's not 4.
Nope.
Is it in the single digits?
One of them is.
Like the one, okay, yeah.
One of my 3 left that I have on
my
list.
The one that you're saying that will be safe.
Yes, it is a single digit number.
Is it 0?
It is.
Okay. And you thought there was no way I would take that?
When I initially went into it, of like the historical rank numbers, 0's not there because everyone's new.
For the most part, yeah. Dame, Russ, JT,
Gilbert Arenas, Kevin Love, Andre Drummond.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of like double 0. You get some history, but
really?
Like solo 0. Robert
Parrish is like the only one I feel like double 0.
That's the only one I could think of off the top of my head, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And Melo on Portland.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, but I think I'll probably take number 1. Yeah, wait. Actually, I take that back. Let me think for a second. I want to take 15 for sure, just because I want Jokic and Carmelo. Like,
so you're going to take 15?
Those are my two favorite athletes, like, of all time. So I want those two guys.
So you're taking 15 with your fourth pick.
Yep. And then for my last pick, I will do... Man, I'm thinking 2 because I really want Kawhi as just like a wing defender. But then who's going to run point guard for me? Do I have a point guard?
With 23, 34. You said LeBron kind of was your point guard.
Yeah, he kind of can be.
23, 34, 21, 15.
And 2 should get... Oh, Kyrie. It gets me Kyrie, which I guess I can throw him in off the bench maybe. Okay, I'll take 2. That'll be my final pick.
So the last 3 numbers on my list are proof that I did not fully understand the exercise I did, but I focused more on the number and its historical importance when ranking in a top 10. Because the 3 I have left are 0, as we alluded to. That one does not count. That one's just kind of there.
Because you want
44, because you get Jerry West.
Oh, and
Danny Ainge was the first name I wrote down. And Pistol Pete. And Iceman George Gervin. Inventor of the finger roll.
Yeah.
And there was another guy that we've done as one of the Hall of Famers. Rick Mahorn.
And Rob Williams, right?
Time Lord?
Yeah.
I guess.
Is Danny Ainge not retired, I guess? That makes sense.
Nope.
Yeah, wow.
So that was one that I had. 14 was another one because I thought Oscar Robertson. I always thought the 14 was his number in my brain.
Oh, yeah.
Bob Cousy. And then Hornacek.
Yep. Jeff Hornacek.
So those are more historical numbers. And then 0 was the one that I just threw in there because I was like, I can't think of another number. 0's got a lot of guys now that are
Did
good.
we not? Nobody took 13. I feel like that's a big one that we probably should have taken. Wilt Chamberlain, James Harden.
I didn't think anything past Wilt. I thought Wilt, and especially, I don't need a center. That's your fault.
And Steve Nash. Oh, man.
Oh, wow. We are bad.
And PG-13. I feel like I should have taken 13.
We're going to get flamed for that one, probably.
Yeah. That's definitely, I feel like, the big miss of this draft was 13.
Okay, so then here's an interesting thing.
Wait, so did you make your pick, by the way? Did you pick 0?
I think I'm going to go 44 and not
really?
0.
Oh, wow. Just because, what's your reasoning? You want a point guard? Is that why?
Because I realized 3, I've got CP3.
Yeah.
But Pistol Pete's but if the goal is to go head on head, I'm not going to put Pistol Pete play. I'm going to get smoked because all of my numbers are
old
guys that played plumbers.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'll stick with 44.
Oh, I also get Joel Embiid. I didn't even mention that earlier with 21.
I thought I said Embiid.
Oh, you might have said that. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Then let's do this. But I didn't even think I mentioned Moses Malone, did I, for 2? I might have mentioned that.
You did when you were first kind of going through that.
Yeah.
So, I feel like the best way for us to do this is more for you, Logan, editing-wise. Because I would like to double-check to make sure that I'm not missing a person for my numbers.
Oh, yeah.
So we can go to Google, we'll each quietly rough build our 8, and then we'll go from there and then announce starting point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, set, whatever way you want to build your team. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So we kind of pause the recording.
Oh, you don't need to pause it. Actually, just know that this is a moment that you can we'll be right back, everyone.
Yeah.
You won't even know the time passed, but it will for us. Yeah, okay. Dang, 13. Because I thought Wilt, and I was like, especially, it's when you brought up the season thing, I almost pivoted to Wilt in the middle of the draft, but I was like, is there anybody else for Wilt? Because you take that season where he averaged, after you de-inflate the numbers from possessions, 39 points a game or whatever crazy number when he had 50 a game.
Yeah.
That season alone would be worth taking 13.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, and Steve Nash is just, that'd be such a great point guard.
No, the fact that you needed a point guard and then Nash was there. Yeah.
Man, I took 2. I took 2 mainly for Kawhi. 2019.
If you want to add a GM coach, Red Auerbach, I think, is retired as a 2 for the Celtics.
Yeah, that's true. But okay, so I have how many players do I have now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I didn't use
8,
Bill
9.
Russell. That feels illegal.
Do you have 6?
Yeah.
Yeah, that does feel very illegal. You got to use a Bill Russell year.
Yeah, but would you run Bill Russell up against Hakeem?
Dude, Bill Russell's like super switchable. Like out of all the centers that you could play at a different position, Bill Russell's like one of the best choices.
Well, I've only used 2 of my bench spots, so maybe I'm fine.
Bill Russell could play 3 through 5 if you needed him, because he can defend literally anything. Like he's not going to shoot, but
yeah, I have plenty of other scores if you couldn't think.
Yeah,
I guess I might use him for my third bench spot.
Yeah, 64. I would go younger, probably one of his earlier years, just because that's when he was at his best defensively.
What's the 24 rebounds a game year? Is that 64 or 65?
64 is 24.7, and 65 is 24.1. So both of them.
Oh.
He actually hit 24. Like he hit above 23.5 on a season 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. He has 6 seasons where you could round to 24 rebounds per game. And one of those is you can round to 25. If I were you, though, I'd probably use like 59 Bill Russell. Or maybe 60.
See, this is what I'm not going to know any of this stuff. I don't know enough.
Just because, I mean...
looking at the numbers, you can you know what I mean?
Yeah, but if the guy is like, his calling card is he's a beast defensively, and part of what makes him a beast defensively is his athletic ability, usually below the ages of 26, like, the 23 through 25 range is probably the best age range to pick from. Okay, I have my 11 guys to choose from to make my 8, if you want to start soon, whenever you want.
Yep, I'm going to jump into it now.
Okay. All right, we are back. Took a long minute to put these together, but we have compiled our list of some of the notable seasons of people we have in consideration for picking here to fill out our roster. So we will select our 1 through 5 starting lineup, and then we have 3 bench spots to try to fill in there. The reason I did 8 is just because that's like a super traditional amount of players you play on like a playoff team.
Yep.
It's usually like a playoff rotation. So I figured that would be, because I feel like if we did 5-on-5, it'd just be a little bit boring, because it would just be like, I don't know, stretching it out to 8 gives it more variety and more room for things to happen. So since I went first in the draft, I guess this part's not even it doesn't matter who goes first, because we just started alternating for the show's sake.
I will kick it off with my primary ball handler.
Okay.
Point guard.
Mm-hmm.
And I will go the best big point guard in the history of ever. His arguable best point guard season, 87 Magic Johnson.
87 Magic. That's a good year to pick, honestly.
24 points a game, 12.2 assists a game. Not his biggest assist year, but that's the 87 finals was the Magic duel where he had 20-something assists in game 2 against the Celtics. And 87 might also pop up again, allegedly.
Yeah, people forget that Magic, when he went out of the league, his career was basically over. He was still at his peak, really.
No, he left because of AIDS or HIV, and it had nothing to do with anything he was doing on court in terms of slowing down.
Yeah, he
just because that was his last year, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Or was it the next year was his last year?
87 and 88, he played as still. I think he retired, I want to say, in 90.
Well, he left and then came back in a random year.
Oh, yeah, that was not even the same, though. That was 95, I think. 91 was, I was going to say, because his last season was when they faced the Bulls in the Bulls' first championship.
Okay.
And so he wasn't, those last couple seasons weren't his absolute magnum opuses, but it's the section of his career where he's still knocking out bangers. You know what I mean? Kobe has this 20 season career with all these seasons. We just never were able to see Magic or Bird, because Bird with the back issues.
Yeah, neither of those guys had those long
careers. Yeah,
uninterrupted.
They had their primes, and then as soon as their prime was done, they were done. Yeah.
If only Larry Bird, the multimillionaire, would have paid somebody to fix his mom's driveway.
Yeah, true. All right, so you got 87 Magic as your point guard. My point guard, I think I'm going to just kind of mirror you right now and use the second iteration of Magic Johnson in a way. That's one of his main comparisons. And go with 2010 LeBron James. His last season during his first stint with the Cavs.
Okay.
So it was his second MVP year. He averaged 30 points, 7 rebounds, 9 assists. And what is this other number I wrote? Oh, that's not for him. Yeah, 30 points, 7 rebounds, and 9 assists. So obviously a great facility. He's like Magic Johnson if you scaled down the playmaking a little bit and then put all that, what you scaled down, into the scoring. That's 2010 LeBron James. And he's my point guard.
Moving now to my the smallest player in my starting 5 by, I think, a whitish margin. I don't have the exact heights, but I will go 2009 Dwayne Wade.
Yeah.
I initially toyed with the Heat's first title year, Dwayne Wade, but then when you look at the slew of numbers, the most assists in his career, also with the highest scoring of his career, seems like a pretty good time. Also, while he's like aggressively in his prime, defensively.
Earlier,
so I went 09 D Wade.
Yeah, in our break, when we were talking about this, and he mentioned that he might go with 06 Wade, and I said, I would go with, but then I cut myself off because I didn't want to help him. That was the season that I was going to say. 09 Wade, I think is better. This is a Bill Simmons take, but I also believe it as well. 09 Wade is better than any Kobe season.
30 points a game, 7 assists a game, or 7.5 assists a game, 5 rebounds, but 2.2 steals per game with a block a game.
Yeah, and I think Dwayne Wade was the rightful MVP in 2009, to be honest. As good as LeBron James is, I think Dwayne Wade probably should have won that one.
So yeah, that is my shooting guard, is going to be 2009 Dwayne Wade.
Mm-hmm. All right. That's a great shooting guard, and kind of going back to back, like
mirrors
stylistically, kind of, for the most part, because Dwayne Wade is one of the 2 best shot blocking guards in NBA history, and I'm going to go with the other one that's in that top 2, and I would say is probably number 1, and that is Michael Jordan in the year 1987. 87 Jordan. So this is, his craziest scoring output with 37 points a game. So he was 37, 5-5 in this season. And he won Defensive Player of the Year, I want to say, either 87 or 88. But he averaged 3 steals a game. So, a pretty, I think this is going to be, 10 LeBron is really good, but I think this is going to be our first option for sure. 8 is 87 Michael Jordan. But yeah, right off the bat, my first 2 guys in my lineup are the 2 greatest players in NBA history.
Those are the kind of the 2 that go back and forth. After you get to that, I've got a lot of the people that are right after that. That's kind of the entire rest of
and
mine.
And you have the best LeBron James. I think I have the second best LeBron James. So,
but we're not going to get to that LeBron James yet, because this is maybe not the right thing to do, but I'm going to do it anyway. We're going to go back to 1987 again. It's our 3rd time.
Oh, really?
Larry Bird.
87
1987.
Bird. Yep.
I was debating between 86 and 87 Bird.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And maybe I should have gone 86, but I didn't.
Mm-hmm. That was the best Celtics year. Like the Celtics as a team.
The Celtics did the best as a team, but I just feel like Bird the next year it wasn't the best Celtics year because Magic Johnson was on a different level. Oof. So just shy of 30 points a game, 1 1.5 steals, 6 assists, and 9 rebounds a game from Bird in 87. It was the defense and rebounding that was like kind of a thing that peaked up in 87. So that's why I went with 87 Bird as opposed to 86 Bird.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a good
86 Bird is widely looked at as like his season, but I think it's because they got the title. I think that's why it gets like the nod as the better of the two seasons, because they did win the title.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for sure. Man, okay. I think I'm just going to try to build the most monstrous starting lineup that I can right now. I think I'm going to... Okay. I feel really weird about not this next pick, but what this is going to line up. Like what it will...
How it's going to snowball.
Yeah. But I'm going to go with... Oh, this is so hard. I'm going to go with 2021 Giannis Antetokounmpo as my 3 at my small forward position. 7-foot small forward. He averaged, yeah, and out of the 2020 seasons and the regular season, this is his most underwhelming year.
But the playoffs
is where, he won the championship, obviously, scoring 50 points in a closeout game 6.
In that closeout game. That was wild.
And went, what was it, like 11 of 16 at the free throw line?
Yeah, like people that was like because this is right when the like Giannis free throw thing started, was 21.
Yeah.
And then people or 20 maybe.
21 was like the really big,
where people were
counting
and things like that. And then like in that closeout game, he just was like, you know what? I don't even care. 11 for 16. Not great, but for Giannis, fantastic.
Yeah.
In a game like that. So
it might have been even better than that. While you keep talking, I'm going to look that up. But yeah, he averaged 28, 11, and 6 in the regular season. But yeah, I think very switchable. I have a insane defensive lineup so far. Very happy about that. And so, yeah, that's why I have Giannis at my 3.
Yeah, no, it was, and this is where things got kind of tricky, is like I'm looking at him, I'm like, oh, there's no way that my starting 5 that I've got in my brain gets beat by anybody. And then I'm like, wait, actually, maybe.
Wait, okay, before we move on, yeah, we vastly undersold. I thought, I was like thinking it was something
11 for 16 sounded like right.
Yeah, but because I was like, the first number that came to my head was like, oh, he missed like 2. But I was like, no, that would be insane. That is what happened. 17 of 19.
11 for 16 like sounded totally right. That's crazy.
He shot 17 of 9. That's rounds to 90%, 89.9 or 89.5% as a free throw shooter when he's,
which is not Giannis.
Yeah. So very clutch, dang. Very, very clutch to win a championship.
I think it is now time. One of the best seasons in NBA history by an individual. We've already heard his name one time. Come on down for the running the 4-ish 3 spot. Everything's kind of switchy.
Yeah, him and Bird are just the forwards, really.
Yep, the forwards. It's gonna be 13 LeBron.
Yeah, that's the right pick.
26 and 0.8 points a game, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, and just shy of 2 steals.
Yeah.
On top of just watching that season of LeBron was like terrifying.
You could make the case that that's better than any Jordan season.
That might be the best season ever.
So yeah, not a bad pick then, is what I would say. Okay, so at the 4, this is weird because this isn't where. Okay, for these next couple picks of me filling out my starting lineup, the people I'm choosing isn't like the people I'm choosing over other people isn't necessarily because I think that they are better all time, or even that season was better all time than the other person. It's mainly just for fit for my lineup of how I feel like this 5 would run against, Jacob's 5. So for my 4, my power forward position, I'm going to use 04 KG, Kevin Garnett.
That
which I'm not I don't feel great about choosing KG over Tim Duncan, but I feel like 04 KG, just the sheer versatility defensively that he had.
Mic'd up for this game would be insane.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Think how brutal this would be. Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, and Kevin Garnett all running around on the same court.
Yep.
That would be not safe for work, if I had to guess.
They would charge big money for those audio clips, for sure.
Honestly, just Bird and KG, I think, would be one that, like...
Yeah, I as the coach of this team, I'm putting KG on Bird, by the way.
And I think it happens the other way, vice versa.
Yeah.
Like, maybe not for Matt, but just for the sheer, like, if anyone's going to get a technical foul because they call the ref, like, out of anger from the other person something obscene, it would be those two going at each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for sure.
Because, like, Kevin Garnett is widely known as this, and I feel like the Bird stories have came out, so it's more known, but, like, there's some wildly heinous things that Larry Bird told other people. Like Muggsy Bogues. Just Google that story. You don't have to hear it here. That's a crazy one. But yeah, all-time trash talkers are here already. We've got 1 and 2 if we were to redo a draft for trash talking. We've got, I think, picks 1 and 2. Yeah. Maybe not 1 and 2, but close.
Up there. Gary Payton would be up there as well.
Yep.
Yeah, so over to you. Who's your center?
Another one of the all-time seasons. All of these are all-time seasons, but not only for these guys, but
sorry, I didn't even mention 04 Garnett. 24 points, 14 rebounds, 5 assists, 2.2 blocks, 1 MVP that season. I think that was one of the only years the Timberwolves actually won a series in the playoffs, and that was only because of him. And there's very good reason why he did not stick around in Minnesota, and that is because of the lack of talent around him. That a real gem of a career was kind of wasted, honestly, in Minneapolis with KG. Sorry to interrupt you, Jacob.
No, all good. I went with 72 Kareem as my center.
That's a great choice, yeah.
For those that don't know what he did this season, 34.8 points a game, 16.6 rebounds a game, and just shy of, let me make sure I got my numbers right, 4.6 assists.
Yep. It's the type of...
Before they kept track of blocks. 2 years later, he was at 3.5 blocks a game. So those don't count because they didn't keep track of them yet, but
it was around that, probably.
I would wager he was in the ballpark of 3 to 4, as he was for
most
the rest of his career until the 80s.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think it's pretty safe to assume. But Kareem and 72, that's one of those seasons that causes the league to change rules and like change things to make you less dominant. You know, that is one of those few seasons that did something like that. But yeah, so that's a pretty great center to choose. But you know what? I don't think Kareem, as many blocks as he can get, I don't think he can defend 2023 Nikola Jokic.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I'm going with 23 Jokic. Again, even though I feel like you could easily make the case that there's 2 centers that should start over him. That could, at least. I feel like there's not a better lineup for Jokic than running 2-man game with Michael Jordan and having Giannis and KG as flanking him on the defensive end as the wings, and not even mentioning LeBron during his defensive peak, who's one of the greatest team defenders in NBA history. Like he's like a safety or a defensive back is what he was oftentimes compared to during his prime defensively, because of how he would just see the floor and chase down passes and, just do stuff he made it a full court game. LeBron makes it a full court game just by how many turnovers he forced. But Giannis and KG is going to provide me with more than enough weak side rim protection and switchability.
These teams are they're not just kind of built in the lab. They just straight up are. This is insane.
Yeah, it's insane. This is like this is a type of lineup that would accentuate and make Jokic thrive defensively as well, because he can just play his role on that end as well and do, because Jokic has some very, very tremendous skills on the defensive end. There are parts of the defensive end that make him a liability in some contexts, but then there's parts of him that makes him one of the more valuable players in the league at that position defensively. So
I think you picked the right year.
Yeah,
I think this is also if you look at this wasn't the MVP season, but this is absolutely the correct Jokic year to pick, without a question.
This was him sleepwalking into 25, 12, and 10, on 63% from the field goal percentage, and 70% true shooting. And then in the playoffs, we don't even have to mention what just happened in the playoffs. Might have been the best playoff run of a single player in NBA history. I'm willing to put that up there with literally any of the greats. So, getting 30-point triple doubles left and right, had either 2 or 3 30-20-10 games. There's only 5 ever in NBA history, and he has 3 of them total himself. So, not a bad choice here either. At my center, even though there were a couple, which I'll get to, they'll definitely be on my bench, but a couple very dominant centers that I could just very easily put in there to start instead, and wouldn't be a bad thing either. So get us started with the bench. Who's your 6th man?
And this is where things get a little tricky, because this is when I had 4 names for 3 spots, is what I ended up coming with. And I thought, okay, let's see what he does with his top 5. And that makes me think I have to drop someone that I didn't think I was going to drop, because you just have a lot of size.
Yeah, I noticed that too while we were going through these, that my lineup's just bigger.
I'm not a small team by any means, but me putting D Wade just puts me at a significant height disadvantage.
And Bird and LeBron are at your, which is wild to say that Bird and LeBron are small as forwards, but when they're going against Giannis and KG,
they are.
Yeah.
But maybe I'll just commit to the small thing. I don't know, but that won't affect my 6th man. Because my 6th man is the greatest of all time, if the greatest of all time wasn't in the way. That being, how differently would we look at Karl Malone in 97 is the year I went with. Just Karl Malone's career overall, if Michael Jordan didn't exist, it would be a very different, I feel like, conversation. Maybe Hakeem would look like a way better player, but I feel like Karl Malone would have a little bit more time in the sun outside of children he doesn't know are his and things like that. But anyway, I went with 1997 Karl Malone, who
MVP.
rocked the number 32. MVP Karl Malone. It took some pretty miraculous things for them to not win a title that year.
Mm-hmm.
But looking at 27.5 points a game, looking at steals, 1.5 points, or 1.5 steals, sorry, and then 10 rebounds a game. But then just, yeah. Mm. This is one where it was tricky. I didn't know what to do, but I just went with that. So 97 Karl Malone is my 6th man.
Yeah, that's a good pick.
Because he's also, with how the team is currently constructed, specifically your team, rather switchable.
Yes. Yeah.
He already was, but when you have, the forwards and center being just these giant, pretty much centers sometimes, all 3 of those guys can play center. Karl Malone can also switch. So it just provides a lot of switchability.
Position-wise, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Who's your 6th man here if you look to build out your bench?
I think so my bench is going to be all bigs, honestly. So the only 2 guards on my team will be LeBron and MJ. But I'm okay with that, because if we ever need to put them on the bench and have somebody else running ball handling duties, I do have prime Giannis and Jokic, who I think can get the ball up and down the floor without any troubles. So, so with my 6th man, though, I'm going to go with somebody who I think most people would probably think I should have put at my starting center, and that is 2000 Shaquille O'Neal. He averaged 30 points, 14 rebounds, 4 assists and 3 blocks this season. He won the MVP award, also the championship. One of the most dominant years in NBA history. So, yeah, probably the most unstoppable offensive force that has ever existed was 2000 Shaquille O'Neal. And he's my sixth man.
I feel like that one might get you chewed up in the comments a little bit.
Yeah. I just think...
Actually, it's Nuggets people that listen, I think. A lot of Nuggets people listen. So I feel like maybe that they will be like, yeah.
Yeah, like...
Jokic above 2000 Shaq.
It's just bringing Shaq
but fit-wise, it makes sense.
The reason why I do it is because bringing Shaq off my bench as my offense off the bench is like unbelievable. And just like there's not a better lineup to pair Jokic with than the guys that I have on my starting lineup. You know what I mean? Like Shaq, it does not matter who else is on the floor because just give him the ball and he's going to pound it into the rim. Like Jokic, it does matter. He can because he elevates the other players on the floor in like a very unique way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And just pairing him with Michael Jordan. Like imagine what Jamal Murray does
it's Michael Jordan.
It's Michael Jordan. So that's all I have to say.
Yeah. 2000 Shaq, I feel like is an okay pick to come off your bench.
Yeah.
I will go here with the most well-equipped shooting guard, point guard to handle bigs, Marcus. I'm just kidding.
Do you have 36?
No, I didn't. To counter your Shaquille O'Neal pick, I will go with Marcus Smart, but I won't because I don't have 36. This is where things got like dicey because I had like a spot and I was like, wait, I haven't used this person yet. I'm like, that's criminal. This is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And then Logan was like, yeah, that's probably wrong. And then I was like, okay, let me think about it. And especially, I'm glad that because I tried to build ahead of time and I was like, I can't do that. I just need to have a pool and go from there. And so the man I'm bringing in from the wings, nobody's going to wear his jersey ever again, Bill Russell. It's going to be 1960 Bill Russell. Went on the more limber side of Bill Russell before he was coaching and stressed out with all the off-the-court issues. He might have been coaching in 60. I don't remember when he started coaching. But
I think it was later.
Yeah. I went with 60 Bill Russell, and I'll pull up his statistics here. And they're not like, oh, that's insane. But it's more just
they are, though, also.
they are. Okay. And with the numbers that we've been throwing around, they are less so outside of one number.
Yeah, the rebounds.
Which is the rebound number. 24 rebounds a game, 18 points a game, and then blocks were not a track statistic.
Yeah. But he's often cited as the benchmark as the best defensive player in NBA history. So yeah, I'm. There's a lot of defensive power or offensive power from the front court coming from Logan's squad as of right now. But I feel like with all the tools in my toolbox, I'm best equipped. Bill Russell is going to be my best potential situation for what I've got going on at the moment. Bill Russell is the first pick that you've taken that actually scares me from a Jokic standpoint. Like
that was also part of the thing. But so kind of, I guess we should have done this before we went to the bench. Recapping on where we're at for folks that are listening.
Mm-hmm.
My squad right now, my starting 5 through my 2 bench picks that I've gotten, 87 Magic Johnson, 09 Dwayne Wade, 87 Larry Bird, the 2013 LeBron James, 72 Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, 1997 Karl Malone, I almost said Moses Malone, Karl Malone, and then 1960 Bill Russell.
Mm-hmm.
And the Logan squad, if you want to list yours off, or I can.
Yeah. So my squad, I got at the point guard 2010 LeBron, shooting guard is 87 Michael Jordan, small forward I have 2021 Giannis Antetokounmpo, and then at my power forward I have I wrote 21 here, but I definitely did not mean to. I meant 04 Kevin Garnett.
He wore 21.
Oh, that's probably why I wrote 21. And then at my center, I have 2023 Nikola Jokic. And then at my sixth man, I have 2000 Shaquille O'Neal.
And then it is now your next pick here as we
Okay.
are rapidly approaching the end of our draft.
Yeah. For my 7th man in the rotation, it's insane that he is the 7th man, but this is going to go to, for switchability's sake, the reason why I'm going to put 7 over 8, I'm going to go Tim Duncan as my 7th man.
Which year? That's
02.
That's going to be 02 Tim Duncan.
Yep. So MVP, one of his MVP years, because he won in 02 and 03. But in 02, he averaged 26, 13, and 4 with 2.5 blocks. So, yeah, they didn't win the championship this year, but I think this is probably the best individual Tim Duncan season, to be honest. 03 would have been another valid choice, but regardless, I'm going with 02 Tim Duncan as my 7th man.
Okay, so now to wrap things up here, I was going to include another guard.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were talking about trash talkers and people that were on the court, not nasty, but like were not afraid to get their elbows a little dirty.
Yeah.
Jerry West was who I was like fully intending to throw him in here. Use all of my numbers because I wanted to use all my numbers. I really wanted to. But how this draft has transpired, I feel like I can't throw Jerry West out there. Because who do I put Jerry West on?
Yeah, who does he guard? Yeah.
I've already got a problem with D Wade out there, but at least like try with Michael.
He's athletic,
Jordan.
yeah.
Try. But Jerry West is probably not going to be making the rotation. If it was a different look on Logan's half, probably would be here.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just not going to work when Logan's bringing 7-footers just casually
at my 3.
or yeah, knocking on the door of 7th foot at the 3 position. So to be honest, the seasons I had prepared, I didn't have another great solution for this. So I'm just going to go with what the biggest piece left in my toolbox, and that's Julius Erving.
Ooh.
In 76, his first year as a Sixer.
Gives you a ball handler.
It gives me another ball handler. Gives me a little bit more size than Jerry West would have provided.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit might be an understatement.
Yeah,
but
6'7".
It gives me, but the athleticism to make up for the smaller size also.
Mm-hmm.
But 29 points a game, 2 blocks a game, 5 assists, 2.5 steals, 11 rebounds.
Ooh.
Kind of bummed that I couldn't, just because there's a lot of great other options. I had 33, 32. I wanted to use every number, but
what season was this?
This was the 76 season.
Oh, wow.
His first season as a Sixer.
Yeah.
So not even near the end of his, kind of right smack dab in the middle of his career. Yeah. Earlier half of it, honestly.
Because 83 Sixers was like the best team that he's ever been on. But
yeah, but if you like compare, and like because that's the one that I always thought, but he only had 21 points. I say only, points aren't everything, but 21 points, 2 blocks, 1.5 steals, and 7 assists.
Yeah, and he was the clear number 2.
7 rebounds, sorry.
He was the clear number 2 on that team at that point, behind Moses.
And so yeah, his first year as a Sixer, he was kind of wild. And the thing that popped out to me was like the defensive and rebounding numbers were like, that's pretty. A block and a half and 2 steals a game on top of the 11 rebounds is pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll
take J.
That.
Yeah.
Dr. J. It's right on my 8, and that was just a size thing. And I'm sure that like looking at my numbers, like I kind of went panic mode at the end because I was like, I can't put Jerry West out there. I can't do that. That would not work.
Yeah. Could have gone with Scottie Pippen. Could have gone with.
Oh, I knew I would forget. I knew I would forget somebody. I knew it. Oh man,
Grant Hill. Just kidding. I mean,
I just don't. Dang, the Scottie Pippen one's a big fumble.
But
that's a big fumble from Scottie on my part from Scottie Pippen. Wow.
I don't think it's that insane though to choose
just because of what you rolled out.
Yeah,
I have a bunch of what Scottie Pippen does.
That would help a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. For
sure.
Dang.
I'm for the most part going to have my way with your roster.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Magic and Bird, they're not bad defenders, but they're definitely not great. Everybody else here, like everybody else coming to the party, are like all-time defenders, for the most part, other than Jokic, a Bird, and Magic. And so you have 2 of those guys, and I have 1.
And that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we got the last guy off my bench. So my eighth man, kind of similar to Scottie Pippen, but I would even say better because, as what he is defensively is at least somewhat in the ballpark. I'm not going to sit here and say that for sure is better than Scottie Pippen on the defensive end, but offensively, Kawhi definitely has something to his game that Scottie Pippen did not. Scottie, better playmaker for sure in the open floor, but Kawhi, just his ability to post up and score in isolation with that 19 Raptors squad.
Yep,
So
and that's
2019.
my next question. That's what I figured.
Yep. So 2019 Kawhi averaged 27 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists. 1.8 steals as well. So gives you a guy who can defend 1 through 5 really. Is going to just stonewall people who are trying to score in isolation. I'm definitely, the number one pick. And if we did a draft, which I've thought about this before, we need to do it sometime. And I'm spoiling who my number one pick would be, but LeBron stoppers.
Oh yeah,
all time.
Lance Stephenson's second overall for sure.
But Kawhi Leonard for sure, I think is number one on that.
And you could argue he's the
board.
only, in terms of successfully has done it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, also done more than just that.
Yeah.
Because, there's a finals MVP, Andrei Iguodala, that literally only got that finals MVP because of,
and Kawhi.
How he assisted in the stopping LeBron.
Yeah, it's also why Kawhi won finals MVP in 2014.
But I would argue Kawhi did more than just what,
mm-hmm.
He contributed in other places other than you slowed down LeBron enough for the rest of your team to score.
Yeah. I think he averaged 17 points per game.
Which
he was one of the main on that 2014 Spurs team. That might have been the leading scorer, honestly, because everybody scored on that. Yeah. That's the beautiful game Spurs. The most
that team will have 7 Hall of Famers, if not more. Counting Popovich, they have 7.
Yeah,
easily.
The way that they play together.
It was
the beautiful
wild.
game Spurs. The most aesthetically pleasing team to watch ever. In my opinion, at least. I have 2019 Kawhi as my last guy. Wait, no. I did this wrong.
What?
I don't know why I did this. I literally was thinking, I said earlier that it was going to be all bigs.
Yeah. I was like, Kawhi's not, okay.
So I'm going to boot Kawhi to my reserve. If one of these guys gets injured, then I'll bring him in as my eighth.
Okay.
But I have 1990 Hakeem Olajuwon.
Okay, I was like, I wasn't going to say that. I was like, I would argue that me not having a Scottie Pippen would not be as bad.
Hakeem would be worse, for sure.
Okay, that's what I was going to be like. Okay, that's kind of wild that he just didn't bring the man in.
But I mean, 2019 Kawhi would also be an animal. That would be a great.
All of these people, these players, you take them and drop them onto a team, they're an instant finals contender.
Yeah, I'm just gonna put LeBron on LeBron. Honestly,
okay.
I think that's how that will work. Or either LeBron on Magic and Garnett on LeBron.
But you want Garnett on Bird.
Oh, that's true. I could just I'll put Garnett on Bird. I'll put either Giannis or LeBron on LeBron. One of those two.
Giannis on LeBron would be okay.
And for sure, there's going to be some possessions.
So then who do you have on Kareem?
Jokic.
You guys have Jokic run on Kareem.
Yeah, because, Kareem, especially in 72, him being so thin, I think the main thing with Kareem...
Fat boy Jokic.
Yeah, just getting under him, pushing him out off his spot as far as possible. Obviously, Kareem's still going to be deadly from that distance with the skyhook.
Yeah.
But it's better than him being right under the basket. So
yeah,
I think that's what Jokic can provide, because it's an unblockable shot anyways. If I'm putting Hakeem on Kareem,
it's a waste.
He's not blocking it, so it doesn't matter. His shot blocking capabilities are
negated.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so I think that's pretty. But yeah, what were we talking about with putting people on people? Oh yeah, I was saying LeBron on LeBron. Oh no, yeah. there's definitely going to be some possessions in there where Michael Jordan is going to take it upon himself to switch on to LeBron to get some stops. He's going to take that challenge for sure. And I don't think he'll be bad at it just because of his sheer will and determination.
Is a weird trait that most people don't have, but
yeah. But yeah, so I'll put this up somewhere maybe on like Twitter.
Honestly, this could be like a 2. Yeah, check out the Twitter. That would be good to put. We'll put like a little thing that has the 2 rosters and things like that.
Yeah.
I'll try to build these rosters in 2K. I don't know if all these years are there. I've got 2K on my computer, so it's like fast and doesn't take 90 years to load.
Yeah. Oh, we should do that, honestly. Play against each other with him? Let's do it.
Oh, no, I'm bad at 2K. But yeah, we can.
Oh, you simulate it? Is that what you meant?
Oh, no, I just wanted to watch it. I suck at 2K. I'm like not. I'm not good on the sticks.
Oh, okay.
Like I'm okay, but I'm not.
Yeah. Maybe
we could, but I think your team wins anyway. But I feel like that would secure that your team would win.
Yeah.
The only world where I think I shouldn't say the only world my team wins, but I think that my team in overall is quicker. That's the only definitive.
Just off of Wade and.
Well, because everywhere else it's like, okay, LeBron and Magic, insanely quick for how large of a human being they are.
I'd say LeBron is quicker, though. LeBron is more athletic than Magic, I think.
But then, okay, so then we'll go your way. D-Wade, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird,
one's
Giannis.
Close, though.
They're close, yeah.
Dwayne Wade's one of the fastest off-the-dribble players ever. His nickname is
Edwards,
literally
actually.
The Flash.
Anthony Edwards is the only one faster off the dribble.
He's in that ballpark as well. Yeah.
Third, I don't know. I just feel like that's the only place because Larry Bird and Giannis, 13 LeBron and Garnett. Maybe I'm selling short how quick some of the bigger guys are in my brain.
On your team?
Oh
yeah, because you're saying you guys are quicker. I don't think you guys are quicker.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think maybe I'm because your bigs that are outside of Jokic, the rest of your bigs are not these traditional lumbering big guys. Like Shaq was a freak athlete for how big he was, but he was still a big. You know what I mean?
2000 Shaq, he's not getting up and down the floor like he was in Orlando, but he's not a problem. 02 Tim Duncan is still very limber.
Yep.
So, and 90 Hakeem could switch with the best of them. I didn't even mention 90 Hakeem's stats, did I? 24, 14, and 5 blocks almost. 4.6 blocks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Wasn't his championship year, but I think Hakeem peaked honestly before those it's just
he got
the team.
Hakeem's a guy I said it with Karl Malone too. If Michael Jordan in that Bulls iteration is not there, there's a very different version of history, of those guys' careers, just because there's no Michael Jordan in the way.
Yeah. And the other honorable mention that I want to throw out there that's I should have found a way to fit him on here is 93 Charles Barkley. Which is MVP Charles Barkley. It's just so stacked. My team is so stacked. It's hard to fit him in. But he definitely could have been on here, maybe over Jokic, maybe over Hakeem, maybe over Giannis, Garnett, one of those guys. I think Barkley definitely in that same ballpark. So, and then I'll have Barkley as my 9 and 19 Kawhi as my 10.
Okay. There you go.
But yeah, so that is today's episode. This is going to be a very long one. I'm probably going to, I don't know how long we were not talking there, how much of that time is going to come
25 minutes
out. But yeah, so you got some bonus content today, some bonus minutes of your life that you spent listening to our voices or watching on YouTube. So yeah, go subscribe there. follow the podcast feed, do all the things. And thank you for listening. So we will talk to you guys in the next episode.